you make £100,000 in profit and you think, wow, that's a lot of money, man. I'm proud. When I got the taste of earning money, I've always wanted more, you know? As soon as you've achieved it, you're like, this is over now. I want the next one. So you go for the 500,000. You're like, wow, that's good. And then you go for the million and you're like, that's good. But then you go for the next million. It just doesn't stop.
Here comes the money.
Today, I'm en route to meet Kamil Sattar, otherwise known as the Ecom King, the founder and partner in more than 3 companies in various industries ranging from dropshipping to e-commerce. The entrepreneur developed a system that allowed him to create multiple successful businesses with combined annual sales of over 3 million a year. Now with the knowledge and accomplishments Kamil has achieved, he's able to teach others his method to reaching their full potential through his educational program, E-commerce Mentoring. As I sit down with Kamil, I'll be finding out his secrets to creating more than £1 million business and who the Ecom King really is. Kamil, thank you so much for taking the time.
No worries, man. Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Literally here in Birmingham, in the heart of it. Views around the town and a beautiful place first and foremost. So thank you for taking the time to sit down with us to share your story, because it's definitely a remarkable one. We want to get some real insight in it. So first and foremost, I want to just verify it's a conversation, so there's no right or wrong. It's just really about understanding Kamil and, you know, the life that you've been able to accumulate for yourself at such an early age. You grew up in Shropshire, am I saying this right?
Yeah, so I grew up in Telford, which is part of Shropshire.
So how did this mold and shape Kamil? How did growing up in this environment?
So yeah, when I was growing up, grew up in a very humble family. We didn't have lots of money, but we had enough to get by. Sometimes we'd struggle here and there. I'd watch my mum lose a job a lot. She was in an industry where she'd get made redundant all the time. She's been made redundant now 8 times, which is a lot. So seeing that and always wanting more in life, it molded me to be the person in the family to think more outside the box, because everybody in my family had the traditional jobs. So I thought to myself, is there a way really that I can get something more than what we've currently got? And then that's when I was thinking more about businesses and things like that. And growing up, that's what I really wanted to do. You know, in school, never did well, failed school, wasn't very well behaved, because the education system tries to force you to be something that I didn't want to be. And it didn't allow me to show my skills. So in school, I didn't really pay much attention. Outside of school, I was working towards getting good at being a businessman and things like that. And at a young age of 15, I started my first business, which was the buying and reselling business, buying Christian Louboutin, Giuseppe Zanotti's, and then flipping them, and then reinvest the money and just keep flipping.
Wow. So your parents were immigrants from Pakistan?
So my mom came to the UK at 3 years old, and my dad lived in the UK. So my mom's family are full Pakistanis, and my mom's mom is British, and my dad's dad is Pakistani.
And how did that environment take to the culture? How did you feel within, you know, growing up in the environment where you were coming in, you know, into a predominantly English, if I'm assuming, environment, and still having this mixed heritage?
It's not easy because, I don't know, people might disagree with me, but I do believe there's something called white privilege in this world, especially in this country. And people don't really take you seriously, you know. People don't think you're as good as anybody else. But that was good because, you know what, growing up the way I did, we learned a lot of things about discipline, working hard, and it really molded me to be a hard worker. But it always drove me to be accepted by people, because to be accepted where I came from, you needed to have money, you needed to have status. So and nobody really where I came from who were Pakistanis had any of those things. So I wanted to be the first one to prove all these people wrong, you know, and be like, yeah, we can also do well as well.
And you say about like this drive to kind of wanting to be accepted. At what point would you say, if you think back, what was a pivotal moment where you kind of created that decision that you're going to pursue this aspiration of becoming successful?
Yeah, so that would be back in about year 9 and 10 in secondary school, because all the clever kids, none of them, well, in my school, not saying for anybody else, were all the English kids. And I just thought the way they look at us and think, oh, we're not clever and stuff like this. I just wanted to be like, yeah, I'm going to prove you wrong after school. And because I always said to people, look, after school, that's when people can start talking the talk and walking the walk, because that's when you really live your real life. So I thought, whilst you're in school, you might have the best grades. That doesn't mean anything now. Wait for a good few years after school, then we'll see who's really doing well. And without sounding cocky or rude, it proved that those people are now going to job fairs, which is nothing wrong with that. They're still living with their mum and dad. But me, the other guy who didn't do very well at schools, now been able to do amazing things.
So let's talk about school. 15, you decide to not carry on with the path that the education system had for you. Tell me a bit about that.
So yeah, basically when we hit year 9, 10, 11 and then college, I just said to myself, look, this just isn't for me. It just isn't going to work for me. And I've always said to myself, look, I'm not going to force myself to do something if I'm not going to enjoy it or think of anything. So in class, I purposely didn't do the work. I just wouldn't do it. When I went to my GCSEs and I was sat down, I'd open the front page, put it down, put my head on the desk, not do the rest of the paper. Every single GCSE I went in for, my maths, my science, my RE, ask any of the teachers, my head would be on the table, not do the whole test. Because I didn't want to do something that I didn't agree to. So I didn't agree with it, so I didn't do it. But then after school, I was always work on my first business, which was my buying and reselling business, because I had a love for luxury goods. I used to love these amazing brands. And then I just thought, you know what, is there a way I can mix my hobby with making money? And I thought about buying and reselling. And that was a great way of doing both of those things. And that's what shaped me into starting the business at 15 years old, the buying and reselling one. And then I did take a business college degree at Shrewsbury College. And it was teaching me how to work for somebody else's business, not actually create my own business. And then as soon as I found that out, after year one, I quit college and I went full time with me. That's when I joined Primark and JD to build up some money to then invest in my startup. So
you make it sound obviously like a simple transition from like in school, turning the papers over, not doing the exams, to stepping into business, you know, and business arena being a very broad arena, especially if you're still young. Tell me a bit about that transition, you realizing that you could buy and flip luxury goods. How did that come into fruition, and what were your first steps to kind of get into this space?
Yeah, so it's not a simple transition of, I'm going to stop doing this and go into that, because a lot of people, like my parents, my friends, be like, you're out of control, like you're going to ruin your life. My teachers even said to me, look, if you don't get your grades, that's it. You're probably going to be on benefits and stuff. They literally said that. So it wasn't an easy transition, but what got me into doing it was social media. I saw the people doing it at the time. I saw people on YouTube explaining it, like Supreme buying and reselling. And I just thought it's something that I'd enjoy to do. So I made an Instagram page and it got going from there. Networked with some people, got some stuff in. One pair of shoes turned into 3, and then 6, and then 9.
You see, the thing is, a lot of people, when it comes to going into business, kind of look for the parachute moment where they can do it safely. And it's clear that at an early age, you had an appetite for risk because you were willing to let go of money in order to get the product, to flip it. Where did that appetite come from? Where did you create that element of confidence in yourself, where you would believe in your vision enough to buy the goods, let go of money, and know you can get it back? So
I got to a critical moment in my life where I was in my kitchen at my mum's house, and I was with my uncle, and he gave me £50. I had £500 in my bank at the time, just by working JD and Primark. And he gave me an extra £50, and I thought, I can either spend this money now on like going out for food and stuff like that, or I could use that to help with the business. And that £500 in the bank and that bank account, I thought to myself, look, I can either sit on it and do nothing with it, or I can try something. I thought, if worse comes worse, I lose the money, I can just get it again. It's not like I'm going to lose my house because I don't have one. It's not like I'm going to do any of that. So I just thought, try it and see if it plays out. Tried it. It hurt the first time letting that money go and put it into something else. But then as soon as I got that, I was sat on those pair of shoes for like 3 weeks, maybe even longer. And I was like, wow, I've made the worst decision of my life. I bought a pair of shoes I can't even wear myself because they're not my right size. And I've got no money now. So I was like horrified. And then I got a message on eBay, I want the shoes. Sent them, and then I made myself a nice £100 profit. And I thought, wow, if I can do that 10 times over, that's £1,000.
You then get to a space where you're flipping, you're making income, but you still got a job. What happens next?
So it came to a point where it was going really, really well. And then what I decided to do was cut the job out because it was taking up too much of my time. I was doing 10 till 10 every day for 5 days. And I just said, I can't do this. It's taking up too much of my time. I can't scale the business because I'm not home enough to do deliveries and pickups. So I just decided to quit and then just go full time with the buying and reselling. And look, if worse came, and the thing in my head was, if worse comes worse, I'll just go and get my job back. It's not a hard job to get. Primark is one of the easiest jobs to get.
So you take this jump. You're now buying and flipping clothes full time. Dropshipping comes into your life. Tell me about that.
So in 2017, and this is when I've pretty much done the majority of my buying and reselling, I've made a decent amount of money. And I think to myself, look, this is taking up too much time. It's very hard hours, annoying negotiating with people. It got frustrating. I kind of fell out of love with it basically. And I wanted to find the way to take it to the next level. Like, I've made a decent amount of money, but how can I make 6 figures? How can I make 7 figures? That's what I was thinking. So then I went online and typed in how to make money online. And then I read an article and it was talking about affiliate marketing, drop shipping, Amazon FBA, came over all these different things. And then the one drop shipping module came up and I read the description about it and I thought, wow, that's not what I'm doing now, but it's very similar. Get a social media, advertise on Instagram, get a product that you don't touch. Because with my buying and reselling business, technically I was kind of drop shipping because I wouldn't buy the goods till I knew I had a customer and then I'd get it off my supplier. So it was very similar. So then that's when I thought the two go in hand. This is more scalable.
Wow. Now, as far as it goes with the transition, did you let go of the initial business or did you have that running simultaneously?
So I kind of drip fed it. So as soon as the dropshipping would pick up, that would slow down. So that would go higher, that would go lower.
Dropshipping, and I want to kind of, before we go into the details of dropshipping, you kind of touched a bit on finding this information on YouTube and investing a bit more into understanding how to make money. At that age, how old were you?
So when I got into dropshipping?
No, just investigating online.
Just investigating online. I was about 14, 15.
And when you started to, look online and find entrepreneurs that were teaching how to make money, were you skeptical at all, or was it just something you felt?
So it wasn't actually entrepreneurs teaching. It was more like Google articles, like, blog posts and stuff like that. And there was the odd video, but I wasn't skeptical because I was thinking to myself, if one person can do it, anybody can do it. If nobody would have done it, then I'd have been skeptical.
And was there anyone specifically online at the time?
No, like I said, there was that many blog posts I was going through. There's one person that I came across that I thought was amazing. His name's Neil Patel. He's pretty well known in the whole online marketing space. And I was very fascinated about his ways of doing marketing, like SEO and things like that.
And then you kind of realized, of course, while you're building your business, that there is a demand for people that want to do the same. Of which, from what I understand, you've also invested in the past in learning from others that have, provided programs to teach people how to set up their own business. Yeah,
so I spent a lot of money on like a couple of courses online. I went to a few seminars and I also paid for a mentor as well.
And just to kind of slow that down, how old were you when you did that?
So this would be when I was 17, just turning 18. This is when things started to pick up for me. So I didn't do it straight away. I'd watch all the free stuff on YouTube and on those blog posts. And then eventually, when I actually made the money, I'd reinvest that into the educational stuff.
And it's very unconventional because you've gone from turning the papers over in school to investing in a program with, of course, something or in someone you believe in something you're interested in. How did that impact you? Making that decision to invest actually still in the education, but in education that was going to help you? So
I've got nothing wrong with education. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the type of education that I enjoy doing. So the ones at school didn't excite me because I was always thinking about money. And to me, the stuff at school wouldn't make me money right now. And it wouldn't make me the kind of money that I want to make. But the stuff that they would teach me would get me to my desired position. And that's why I wasn't bothered by doing it.
And then you take this program. At what point do you start to see, I'm sure at first you're learning, so you're paying first and advancing. At what point did you start to see the development in yourself?
So straight away when I took it, quite a few that I took at the same time, which was not a good thing. So you should always learn from one and then slowly move on. But I did all of them at the same time. I started seeing some alright results to start with, but then it was like just results then, and then everything crashed in terms of the results. But then after about 6 months, things started to pick up quite well. Everything started to fix into position. Because at the time I was just mixing everything together. But then I said, look, Cam, do one by one, because I was in a rush. So I kept doing all of them at the same time, one by one, and eventually the compound and the momentum started taking off.
And this then led you to creating your own successful e-commerce brands. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so we've got a few dropshipping brands that are pretty successful. I don't want to mention too many names because they're dropshipping stores. People will just copy the brands, but there's a few that people know that we've made on YouTube. We've done a couple of videos on there showing some of them off. I've collaborated with somebody from Telford as well. His name's Jordan Nicklin, and he was the owner and the founder of Solital, which is the jeans that I'm wearing now. And he started this brand back in 2014 or 15, I believe. And then I've jumped on board last year, and I'm a co-owner of the brand now. And this is something that we're really striving to take to the next level. You know, this is like the future of what we see in the e-commerce world. This is where we're looking at this brand that it's going to be worth 100 million at one point.
You have, this following on YouTube as well, big subscriber base. Tell me a bit about just the journey of building that community.
So YouTube was never actually meant to be a thing for me because I was very camera shy. I was an introvert when it came to like cameras and speaking. I'd get very anxious. But I had a Facebook group. I had a free Facebook group, and I had a few people in there, and it was free. And I would just talk to people, help them out with their e-commerce stuff. And then people in the Facebook group were like, Cam, it might be better for you to actually make a video because it'll be easier for us to learn. And I thought to myself, okay. So then I started doing live streams on Facebook, in the Facebook group. And then people were like, Cam, put it on YouTube because that's where you're going to see benefits, You're giving all this free stuff away. Put it on YouTube. So then I made a YouTube channel. And if you watch my first video is still on my channel, you'll see how I'm not confident with myself on camera. And then it just started picking up. And I thought, whoa, this is going crazy. The growth was insane for the first year. We hit 10K subs. But then after that, year 2 came. We went from 10 to 150,000 in a short amount of time. And that was just because we were releasing free courses. So people would sell these courses, but I would give people them for free, no charge. No, I wasn't asking for anything. I just gave it you. If you show some support by liking the video, thank you.
Building the name on YouTube, it's pretty much becoming a common dream, but it does have its pros and its cons. One being people don't have the best things to say to it. People that have channels. How have you dealt with any of the negativity that comes with kind of building this popularity?
So at the start, I would take negativity very personal, and it would upset me, and I'd always want to argue with those people and get into discussions with them and entertain them. But I went through it that much where I said to myself, Cam, who are you to try and prove these people wrong? Like, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, you know what you are, you know what you have. You can't, because I learned that I would actually argue with these people and I'd prove to them all the things that they said that weren't true. And they would then find another thing to pick on. So even though you prove them wrong again and again and again, they always have something else to pick up on because they never want to admit when they're in the wrong. So I just said to myself, just ignore them, let them do their thing. At the end of the day, I know I'm doing really well for myself. They should spend more time on themselves and they could potentially get there themselves, And that's how I've looked at it.
So you then decide to, obviously with the success of your e-commerce stores, you then decide to begin teaching. In a program. What was that transition like, and tell me a bit about like how you came about being open to doing that? So
it started before my YouTube channel, which is the crazy thing. And in the Facebook group, people would be like, Cam, can I get on a call with you? And I used to do it for free. And then eventually there was that many people that were booking these free calls with me. So then I started charging for it, and it wasn't a lot of money. It was like £10-20 for like an hour, which is cheap. And then built my confidence up, and then I started increasing the prices. And then people were like, can you do like a mentorship program where it's like a 30-day long period? You take me from here to here. And I was like, yeah, sounds good. Gave it a go. Built up some proof of concept. Did really, really well. And then I taught quite a lot of people, and a lot of people were successful. And then I said to the people, look, my successful students, I said to them, look, I need your help now because there's only one of me, and there's 100,000 people on YouTube that want my help. I can't teach these people on my own. So then I started getting my most successful students to come on board and teach as well. So then I could duplicate myself multiple times and more people can get my teachings. Although it's not coming from me personally, these people were successful from my teachings. They're going to teach you the same things. So that's how it planned out.
Wow. And you learned that curriculum just off the bat, or did you learn that somewhere?
So when I was personally teaching myself, it took a year of perfecting the formula on how it really worked the best, you know. Spent a lot of times. And then when we got more people on board, we started systemizing things, learning ways to make things even better. And look, man, the amount of time and effort we spent on this mentoring program is because it's not a pre-recorded video. It's somebody helping you one-to-one on a live call. The way we've set it up and systemized it and made it a thing, it's insane. Like nothing on the market compares to what we offer. Honestly, I'm like, when I think to myself, it's like what we give to people is insane in terms of the value. It's crazy, man.
Wow. And in terms of numbers, like real numbers, what kind of numbers have you seen from having an educational company that's helping people, but as a business as well?
In terms of how much money has the company made?
Yeah.
So last year, the mentoring company probably net profit did about £100,000.
Wow. And the successful brands, the e-commerce ones?
The e-commerce brands, we're looking at around 200,000 to 500,000 profit.
And with that success and that revenue, how has that affected or impacted you? Has it made you more hungry, or have you ever had times where you've made this money and maybe got a bit distracted and partied, or have you always had that clear vision?
So before I made money, I went out partying and stuff. I did it when I was broke with my friends. That was kind of out my system anyway, which is a good thing. In terms of other distractions, I wouldn't say I got distracted. I would go and treat myself a little bit more, go for food. Because before then, because I've got my partner, we never used to go out for food because I never gave it time because I was too busy working on my businesses. So I'd go out, spend more time with it, appreciate what we have. And you know what it is? When you get a taste of something, you're always going to want more. So when I got the taste of earning the money, I've always wanted more, you know? You make £100,000 in profit and you think, wow, that's a lot of money, man. I'm proud. And then as soon as you've achieved it, you're like, this is over now. I want the next one. So you go for the 500,000. You're like, wow, that's good. And then you go for the million and you're like, that's good. But then you go for the next million and it just doesn't stop because you've always got a taste for the next thing.
And how do you feel like your financial success has impacted people around you? Do you feel like you've had to adjust your friendship circles or adjust your peer groups?
So I actually had, and people are going to laugh at this, I actually had no friends when I started my entrepreneurship journey. Like I actually cut all ties with everybody before I started because I wanted to go down a narrow path and not have anybody around me so I can focus. So I actually cut everybody off. And I said to myself, when I'm successful, I'll reach back out to these people and say, look, man, I didn't mean to cut you off like that. I just needed to focus on me, man. So it affected like the family. Like it's been able to give opportunities to pay for my mom to go to Pakistan when she wants to. They never need to worry about anything. You know, it's like that security where people don't need to worry anymore around me. It's that security and the comfort. And
did it work? Wouldn't you message your friends back about?
So it's funny because I messaged some, they came back and it wasn't a long-term thing, it was a short-term thing. Some have come back and it's been a long-term thing. Not like we see each other all the time, but it's just nice for the people to know. And you know what? Some of my friends that I cut ties with, some of them have progressed as well. And some of them are in the same position that they were in when I left them. And those are the ones that I don't want to be near.
And what do you think the biggest sacrifice that you've had to make in order to be in this place you are in today?
Being on my own. Although I was living with my mom and dad for the first quarter of the journey, maybe a little bit more, I never saw them, never was with them, never went out with them, did nothing. I was literally on my own. I got my partner I'm with for 6 years, never went out with her. Do you know? Like.
And what do you think the biggest misconception about Kamil is?
Maybe I've had it easy. Maybe things have gone well for me in a short amount of time because people seen how quick the YouTube channel grew in that year, but people don't realize what I had to put in before the YouTube channel to blow it up, if that makes sense. People see you at the top, but they don't see what happened backstage when you were working on yourself, man. And that's probably I've been in the trenches for 2-3 years before anything really kicked off for me.
And have you at any point, because you know the internet business is definitely one that people are using as a catalyst to promote themselves and to market their services. Have you ever invested or promoted your services through ads?
No, so we don't run any paid ads for the mentoring. We don't run any paid ads for anything we do. We keep it purely organic.
And as far as you're concerned with, the organic reach that you're kind of accumulating, do you feel at some point you're gonna, potentially go into advertising some of your goods? Because the way the world is going is people are less on TV and people are more on online. So
100%. So it's a good point. So we haven't advertised for years, and I don't plan on advertising. I don't ever plan on doing anything paid in terms of like paying for people to know about the mentoring. I want people to know about it organically, and that's it.
And for the e-commerce businesses, do you?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, the e-commerce businesses, it's all paid ads, and we barely do anything organic. Like email marketing will be organic, SMS. But to actually get the customer in, it's Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, a lot of money.
And with that, a lot of people, that want to get to your level, they look at e-commerce and it being a matter of, getting a product and running an ad and spending £500 and making 5,000. What is the realistic amount that you part with when it comes to running ads on a monthly basis?
So as a beginner, if you're going to get into the dropshipping world and try things out, you need around about 1,500 to 2,000, and you need to top that up every month by 500. That's realistic, man. And that's like on the bottom end, on the very bottom. People misperceive things like it's cheap, it's easy to get into. They get involved and they're like, you know what, man, this isn't a cheap. It's obviously a lot cheaper than having a brick and mortar store, but it's not cheap. It's a business. It requires money every month. So you need to get yourself a job, have a decent amount of cash flow, and then get involved, because you're gonna run, because momentum is key in business. So if you run out of money and you need to go and get a job and you've spent 3 months out of the game, your momentum's died out.
And for yourself, if you're playing at your level, what do you expect to release or to invest financially on ads?
We're spending about, combined throughout all the e-com stores, we're spending about 100K a month.
And thinking about the boy from Shropshire who was working part-time and not really sure where he was going, how does it feel to let go of 100,000 a month?
I don't look at it as like 100,000 a month going. It's like I'm giving away 100,000, but then I'm getting in triple.
So the profit is what, because it's still, this is the thing, I think at the level you're at right now, to you, it's an investment. But at the same time, I think a lot of young entrepreneurs have a problem with parting with money in general, just letting it go, going from one account to another account for longer than a second is gone, right?
But that's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Leaving money in a bank account is just dying. You get an inflation rate killing it. It's not doing anything. Money's been designed to flow around. It has to move. So spend it on reinvest in the company, get better equipment, get a better website, get better video ads, pay for more ads. What's it doing in the bank? It doesn't need to be there.
And what would you tell a 16-year-old Kamil that you know today?
I'd say, look, man, be a little bit more confident in yourself. Don't let others make you make misjudgments about yourself. Because when I was growing up, when I was younger, I wasn't clever compared to my brother, who's done well for himself academically. So I was always that one in the family where he's not done well academically. What's he going to go and do? Or the family, when we went to family events and stuff, it was like, well, your brother's done really well for himself, but what about you? So I'd always hold myself back and say to myself, and like, look, when I made a bit of money, I said to myself, why do I even deserve this money, man? I technically should have never have got here. How have I done this? Like only a couple of years ago, I was thinking about making my first million, and it's happened that quick.
I think you've done incredible. And I think that's something that a lot of people misconceive about success and successful people. It's that it just happens overnight. And
success isn't always glory, man. Like I've suffered from more anxiety now than I had before. So before ecom, I was fairly fine. Like before entrepreneurship, I was fine. I was cool. But then last year I had a few incidents where I had 2 severe panic attacks during the last part of the year because business got really stressful. Never had that before in my life.
What mechanisms have you put in place to handle?
Didn't even know, like people don't even know how to breathe properly. There's breathing techniques that people don't even do. That you got to learn how to do. Learning how to manage things, because you got to learn when to say, look, I need time out. And I never used to do that. I could be about to blow and I'd still carry on in terms of mentally.
And have you now began to, let's say, invest in understanding yourself?
Yeah, so that's the good thing. With making the money, it's given me time now where I don't need to spend, I could take 3 weeks out and just say, Cam, you need to learn more about you as a person and work out what your body enjoys doing, and then you can be happier. And that's what I've been able to do. And like taking days off where I just don't want to work, because some days I don't want to work, and there's nothing wrong with not working on certain days. Because if that's not what you want to do, that's not what you want to do. Some days you just want to relax, just so be.
And has money made you happy?
Yeah and no, you know, it gives you the comfort of not ever, like when you wake up in the morning, I need to go make this amount of money because I need this to be done and this to be done. It's just the clarity of knowing that there's nothing you need to really worry about, but there's always things that you need to change, you know, not money value, but in terms of growing the company, not in terms of the money, but in terms of who knows it, you know, like money will only bring you, like when you make £10,000 a month in profit, you will be satisfied in a financial way where happiness is done. And that's it.
Who is Kamil Sattar?
I would just say I'm a marketing guy. That's what I am. I'm just a guy that likes to relax, chill out and do some marketing. I'm obsessed to learn how humans operate because that's what I do for a living. I sell to humans based on the way they think, and that's what I do.
And what would you say that, you know, from a position of 5 years from now, you're still under, you're 22 now, right?
Yeah, 22.
So you're still under 30. Where would you see yourself 5 years from now? And what are you doing this towards visualizing when you get there?
I want to be like, because having dropshipping stores only brings you a certain amount of success in an industry. I want to be well known as a powerful figure in the e-com space with a solid company that's valued really well, you know? And that's where I want to be in 5 years. Actually, not I'll still do dropshipping, that's my go-to, but I want to be known in the e-com world because dropshipping's a part of e-com, as he's done really well in e-com as well. He's built a solid brand that's valued at a high valuation, and that's what I want to do.
Honestly, I think it's very commendable that you've also shown not just your business side, but also your personal side, because I think, like you said, you know, the fact that there are some sacrifices that come with success that people can maybe now learn to be prepared for or to evaluate as they're accumulating their steps towards success. I think that's invaluable. So I definitely feel like what you've shared today has been really incredible, and I thank you for bringing me to this beautiful place in Birmingham for the day to have this conversation. And I definitely want to kind of continue to follow up and see your journey as it comes into fruition, but I'm very sure that it's gonna be able to inspire and spark a lot of people. So,
thank you so much for having me on board today, and I hope some people have watched this and thought, wow, there's something I can take away from it.
I'm sure they have. Come on, give it here.